Finley to throw. Over the middle, intercepted. Wolford again. Wolford the other way at the 30, the 40. Wolford to midfield. Miles Wolford with the pick. The Heels on the doorstep of an enormous victory. Williams is the running back next to Howe. Play action. Howe will now lob it down the near side. Newsom with a man all over him. Pins the ball against the back of the defender and brings it in. Heels can get a first down at the 3. Howe, one fake to the right. Now he's going to run to the left. Howe at the 5. Takes the shot. Pinballing off the Canes for the touchdown. Howe showing the toughness for 6. Cardinals down 4, 35-31. May has the shotgun snap. Pressure coming. Rolls to the right. Throws to the end zone. Touchdown! Touchdown, Antoine Green! 16 seconds to go. No flag. Snapping it off the 8-yard line. May pulls it, tries to roll it apart. Now he's going to throw it and score! Throws it to Payson in the end zone for the touchdown. They have thrown the play for left-handed. Was rolling out on the run and threw it left-handed. Nard fields it at the 26. Heading in the far side. Gio at the 35. Gio, he's at the 50. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Gio is going to take it for a touchdown. Are you kidding me?
What's going on, guys? Welcome into another edition of the Heel Tough Blog podcast. This is your host, Josh Marla, here with you once again on a Wednesday night. That, of course, means we're here to recap another presser delivered by the head coach of Carolina football. That, of course, would be Bill Belichick. He met with the media on Tuesday ahead of this week's game against Virginia, as the South's oldest rivalry will renew itself in Kenan Stadium Saturday at noon. Anthony and I can't wait to be back in Chapel Hill, be on hand for that football game. So we will recap the latest presser that the head coach delivered. I got 5 audio cuts from that one that we will go through here momentarily. But before we do that, let me tell you a little bit about tonight's sponsor. That, of course, is Legacy Arcade. If you don't know about Legacy Arcade, that's where Legacy Arcade, a social casino, or where you can win cash prizes playing roulette, blackjack, your favorite slot games, and multiplayer fish games. You can also win cash prizes playing your favorite arcade games as well. And if you scan that QR code and put the promo code HEELS in there, what you'll get is $100 in free match play upon registering your account. So we highly encourage you guys to do that. And some benefits of gaming with Legacy Arcade is it's safe, secure with 24-hour customer support. There's instant redemption immediately to the bank account or the credit card that you have stored on file. They accept all major credit cards, Skrill, and ACH. And coming very, very soon to Legacy Arcade is Apple Pay. So we encourage you to get over to that website, scan that QR code, put in that promo code HEELS, and get $100 in free play upon registering your account. So let's get into the latest press conference that the head coach held at the Kenan Football Center earlier this week. Carolina coming off a close loss at Cal, getting ready for a rivalry game, which you expect Belichick to treat like they did division games when he was with the Patriots, games against the Jets, the Bills, and the Dolphins, games that the Dolphins won, or the games that the Patriots won a lot. Hopefully Carolina can get back to beating their rivals on a much more consistent basis. We'll start back, though, with him talking about the mood in the locker room. And after, Carolina's first 3 defeats were blowout losses to TCU, Central Florida, and to Clemson, he was asked, was there a different mood coming off a close defeat?
No, not really. Disappointed in the results, but these guys, we all bounce back quickly. Once it's over, it's over. Whether it was the wins against Charlotte and Richmond or a loss, it's after 24 hours, that game's in the books, and we're done with the corrections and so forth, and we're on to our next challenge. So that's kind of the way it's been every week, and I think that's the way it'll be going forward. It's always a good move when you win right after the game, but as soon as you get on to that next team, it's you're starting all over again. So that's where we are.
And obviously there would be an issue if they were happy that they only got beat by 3 as opposed by 33. I do think though that it's okay if you as a fan came away encouraged if you saw progress. And while we don't want to hear the head coach say that out loud, hopefully that locker room is more confident coming off a game where they proved that they could compete. And that was something that we were asking after a bye week and after all the rigmarole 2 weeks ago is, could this group really compete at the power conference level the rest of the way? And they answered that question, yes. And the good reason why is that a lot of these games down the stretch are going to be against teams that are very similar to Cal. They're not going to be overpowering offenses or overwhelming defenses or just have talent that you can't compete with. That did happen against Clemson and maybe a little bit against TCU. That won't be the case here moving forward with Carolina having 7 games left to go here in the regular season. A big thing we've talked about so far this year has been the lack of defense that Carolina has been able to play at different points. And a big thing they've struggled to do is force turnovers. This has not been a group that's been known to take the football away via the interception or via creating fumbles. And Belichick was asked, what are they trying to do to increase the turnover production by this defense?
I mean, we talk about it every week, spend a lot of time on it, studying our opponent, looking for opportunities, practicing on the field, different techniques to, take the ball away, high point the one-on-one throws on the outside, read the quarterback, and stripping the ball and so forth. We get quite a few of those in practice, haven't had them in the game, and we obviously need to get them. So, keep working on them, keep emphasizing it. There are plenty of balls out in practice. We turn the ball over in practice, and so we're trying to do the right things. We're just going to have to do a better job of it in the game. And, we had 2 balls out, in the Cal game, Ty had a strip sack, ball rolled out of bounds. We had another fumble muff punt there, couldn't quite get to that. Muffed another punt, was it last week, 2 weeks ago, whatever it was. We couldn't quite get. So we're, you don't get it, it doesn't matter, it's just a foul ball. But I'm with you. We're on it, and we're doing everything we can to try to get them, but we need to get them.
Obviously, you'll see, I think, an uptick in turnover production if Carolina can start to consistently get to the quarterback, force him to make an errant throw or two. That's going to be one way Carolina could start to force more turnovers. Fumbles, as you mentioned, you had some last week where they forced a fumble, but just the way that the ball bounced did not go your way. That happens to teams that are struggling. Some of that is luck. Maybe that luck will begin to turn this week against Virginia. And part of this, I think, is just personnel. Carolina lacks, I think, the personnel to have guys to have a knack away of taking away the football. You can't get consistent pressure on the quarterback, which means he's pretty calm and confident back there to make his throws, as opposed to having to force the issue a time or two. And because teams have been ahead by so much by the middle part of the game, they've really just been running the football and getting out of there. If Carolina can start to play more close games here down the stretch, maybe they could be in position to create a turnover or 2 more than what we've seen here the first handful of games so far under Bill Belichick and his son's defense. Obviously, with the game this week coming up against Virginia, a lot of conversation will be around Chandler Morris. Back when all the reports were flying around the program, you had the report that Chandler Morris wanted to come to Carolina, but Michael Lombardi told him you weren't good enough to play on Sundays, which means you're not good enough to play here. And there was a lot of criticism, some even from myself, even from Anthony on that subject matter. Belichick was going to be asked about that in the presser leading up to the game, and the head coach took the opportunity to deny those reports about Carolina having contact with the former North Texas transfer.
Yeah, I don't really know what the source on that was. We didn't have any contact with Chandler Morris. We spoke to his agent. I don't really know what the source of that was. His agent didn't know anything about it. We didn't know anything about it. So, sounds like just making up stories. I don't know where that came from.
I think, reason to maybe believe that Belichick isn't lying is Chandler Morris came out and said the same thing, said that he never had direct contact with Carolina either. So was he probably interested in wanting to play at UNC, wanting to get back at the power conference level, play for Bill Belichick? Probably. Carolina obviously went in a different direction. I was very frustrated with what was reportedly said via Michael Lombardi, but it's looking more and more like that probably did not happen. That was probably a false report, which, Carolina said a lot of that was happening 2 weeks ago. Kind of hard to believe because that means you're having to discredit some really locked in reporters from the national level. But if some of the local guys have, kind of backed up some of that, then maybe there was a bigger overreaction 2 weeks ago than what we're willing to admit right now, amidst all the frustration of how this season has gone. Nonetheless, Chandler Morris is a phenomenal football player. He's having a hell of a year for Virginia. And Carolina's going to have their hands full with him on Saturday afternoon with an offense that can move the ball and put points up against virtually any defense that this conference has to offer. A couple more sound bites for you, and we'll get you on your way. Something that did come out during the bye week was that
Yeah, he's back, and the university cleared him. They did they went through their process with him, and he's back. Yes.
All right, so it's good to have him back. Big part of that defensive staff was one of the big hires that Belichick was able to bring in. It was a big time recruiter. It's why I think, for people that were maybe saying Carolina needs to fire him, he's probably a big reason why they've got so many guys locked up in the recruiting class that they're banking on to be the foundation of the program under this administration here moving forward. So he's back. Glad that Carolina can put that distraction behind him. And there was a question that was followed up by asking, hey, after all that, did y'all spend more time making sure that your NFL guys know what's acceptable and what's not at the college level? And Belichick made it known that Armand Hawkins has been a college coach. So he was very much aware of the rules, but that the staff did go through extensive compliance training to figure out what was legal, what's right, what's wrong, what they're allowed to do, what they're not allowed to do. So just an unfortunate situation, but hopefully now Carolina, Belichick, Armand Hawkins can put that behind them, and they can move on here the rest of the way with 6 games to go here down the stretch. Let's now get to the last piece of sound we'll play for you guys from the Belichick presser on Tuesday. And this was a legitimate question, one that has to be asked. Something we talked so much about upon the hire was, would he, he was going to establish a culture of winning, responsibility, of discipline, so on and so forth, what you see from winning programs. That has not been the case here so far. And so Belichick was asked if the noise around the program from the outside is impacting what they're trying to do on the inside with Carolina football.
Most of what you're talking about are things that happened last year before I even got here. But I would say the things I did in New England in terms of weekly appearances, media, TV shows, radio shows, and other things were honestly a lot more than what they are here. So I've been able to dedicate a lot more time to watching film, to coaching the players, to being with the players, to being in meetings and actually coaching on the field because I'm better informed, better prepared, which I've really enjoyed that part of it. So most of the things you're talking about, like the book, for example, like that, all that really happened before I even got here.
And look, it's a fair point. The book tour, that was something that was going to happen whether he was coaching Carolina or not. The docu-series, that was always just going to be in play because, people would want to follow him at the college level. Good way for Carolina to market itself. The podcasting, he's taken a bigger step back from that. What he can't control, what he can't deny, is that at every turn there is someone that is trying to find something negative to report. And so yes, you can deny it all you want. That has an impact because it impacts us as fans, where it feels like every day, every other day, there's something negative just coming out around Carolina football. And so, yesterday you had 3 players leave the team. So we'll talk about more on Thursday night when we preview the game. And we got to figure out, wait to see how much of that was Belichick driven, how much of that was just these guys deciding to enter the transfer portal on their own. But you've got reporters that kind of like when Carolina was getting investigated by the NCAA, they can tell this is a target. Greg Olson said it on the Wake Up Barstool podcast with Dave Portnoy that people are just trying to kick him while he's down. Carolina's down. They're the laughing stock of college football. And some of these reporters, they want to be at the forefront of really mocking them and all the failures the program has endured in his first 9 months or so on campus. So a lot of this stuff, was out of his control and it was agreed upon. But he can't deny that some of the other stuff that's happened has impacted what he's trying to do, what he's trying to establish, and just the fact that there are so many moles around the program that are leaking on information, trying to, shed light on him in a bad way because they're not winning. And he's not going to escape that this year. And quite frankly, he will not escape that until Carolina starts to win at the rate that they're paying him to win when you commit the money they've committed to him, his coaching staff, and his front office. That's going to wrap up this edition of the podcast, guys. In the meantime, we encourage you to visit the website, HeelToughBlog.com. We mentioned all the 3 players left the program on Tuesday. Every single bit of that news is covered by you guys. Anthony did a good job getting all that information up, including the reinstatement of Armand Hawkins as well to the coaching staff. All those articles can be found at HeelToughBlog.com as we will continue to take you through the football season. Basketball content coming to the website as well. Carolina in exhibition form on Friday. What to watch for article will be up, of course. So will there be a recap and takeaways that'll come your way probably on Sunday morning. As for the podcast, you guys know where to find us. Every major podcasting platform, just search the Heel Tough Blog Podcast. If you're an audio listener, if you consume us on the video side, the best way to keep up with us, like and follow the Facebook page at Heel Tough Blog, the YouTube channel at Heel Tough Blog, or my personal Twitter account, HTB_Josh. And whenever we go live, you'll get notified. We go live on Wednesday nights at 6 with the press conference recap. We go live on Thursdays at 8 with the game preview for that upcoming week. And then Mondays at 8 with the game recap of that week as well. But if you hit that like button, you'll be notified every single time we're live here talking Carolina football. So we encourage you to do that here in a timely manner. But with that, folks, this is going to wrap up this edition of the podcast. I want to thank everybody once again for watching and listening. And as always, go Tar Heels.